The Match Ball.
Hello there. Welcome to the show. It's brought to you in association with Levi Solicitors, who will offer you not only a 10% discount on your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball, but you can get 15% on the big three, which are Michael,
Will's Probate Conveyancing.
And you can find that on the Phil Hay Monday Club, which will be coming tomorrow as we pick apart the bones of what just happened there at Dean Court in Bournemouth.
Unless Phil's in jail.
Unless Phil is in jail?
Yeah. Because, I mean, anything can happen in Bournemouth, can't it? You might cut up rough. It's
maybe
2:00 kick-off, start early, finish late. You don't know what could happen.
We did catch a glimpse of him on TV. He looked to be holding it together then.
Did he have like a bag of bricks underneath his in his laptop bag?
We're cooked, aren't we, lads?
Yeah.
We are absolutely cooked.
Absolutely awful, that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I predict now Gracia will get fired tonight as a last desperate roll of the dice.
Bringing in who?
Chris Armas.
Yeah?
Something like that. I don't know.
You're under contract, Chris. Get yourself back here.
Jesse's probably still on the payroll. We could maybe give it one last roll of the dice because that team is going down. It's beaten, isn't it? The only thing that might yet save us is, as you said the other week, Moscow, the ineptitude of everybody else.
I was just thinking about that further rather than, I mean, we should talk about the game that's just been played at some point. But so, I mean, Leicester versus Everton tomorrow, whatever the result of that, we still won't be in the bottom three.
Yep.
So that's good. That's a good place to start from. And then what happens after that? We
lose to Man City.
Well, West Ham have to play them at their place first. So that West Ham, there's a big chance they won't win that. While we're losing to Man City, what else is happening? West Ham are playing Scum, Leicester are playing Fulham, Everton are playing Brighton, Forest are playing Southampton. And then when we're playing Newcastle, Forest are playing Chelsea, Southampton are playing Fulham. I think Southampton are gone, aren't they? Everton are playing Man City. And what else is happening? Leicester are playing Liverpool in that round. And then when we're playing, who do we play for that? When we're at West Ham, Leicester are playing Newcastle. Everton are playing Wolves. I mean, that's a bit of a gimme because Wolves got battered yesterday, didn't they? Forest against Arsenal. So there is, we could still do it. We could still do this thing of just not win any games and stay up. And it seems like that's the best plan.
I reckon a lot of people are just not bothered anymore. Like people are just ready to bring on the pain because it's what happens when Leeds are this bad. And, you look at that from players to manager to boardroom. A lot of them, based on that, deserve this.
It says a lot that when Bournemouth were breaking in injury time, I was going, go on, get a fifth. You might as fucking well. Go on.
Absolutely nihilistic.
Go on, get another one. Get another one. Let's see what happens if you get a fifth.
Tear it all down approach.
Where did it go wrong, exactly?
James is asking, by the way, where are our points coming from, Moscow? Well, I think
we don't need any.
We don't actually need any.
Yeah, we're not in the bottom three, so if we just stay out of the bottom three, if the teams below us don't pick up any more points either, then fine. And
it seems risky as a strategy.
Oh, it's not the one I'd choose.
No.
Yeah, it's not the best idea anybody's ever had. But in the absence of any better ones, I think it's. I would take that if that's how it worked out.
Yeah. I assume we want Leicester to beat Everton then.
I don't
probably
1-1, probably a point each is probably the easiest thing to do. Just keep them all as low as possible, and just grind it out from there.
Ed Heaton has said in the YouTube comments, Moscow is lost in a straw factory. I don't think he is. I think it's the only straw we've got left, isn't it, that one?
It's either that or we just, as you say, it's going to be half an hour just going, it's fucking shit, it's fucking shit, it's fucking shit, it's fucking shit, which probably
is true.
But
we've done that for
most
match balls recently have been a bit like that.
Yeah, so trying to
put
something else that we can say.
Yeah, no, fair play for you trying. I've not got a right lot to say about that. I mean, we've made notes on the match, but it was just the same pattern that we've seen in recent weeks, isn't it? Whereby we look a bit promising for a bit, and then we just concede some goals, and then never get back into it.
Yeah, I mean,
it was a game that was there to be won, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, completely. I thought we were the better team till they scored, which was again the standard Leeds United gift. I don't know exactly who you blame for it, but the ball comes to the edge of the box, and there's a man in absolutely tons of space. It's a bit lucky how it breaks for him because Cooper's made a nice challenge and it sort of comes off his knackers and goes out to the edge of the box and it's a decent finish, but he's got so much space and time to do it. And then the second one's just the horrible bit of goalkeeping again. I know the fourth is as well. I suppose by that time it doesn't matter.
Meslier, talk about Meslier.
But it all contributes to the feeling that Meslier is having a bad time of it, which
he's shot to pieces, isn't he? Like the rest of them, you can see it. He's possibly the most obvious example of a player with completely zero confidence, and it's almost like the yips, isn't it? Just like a persistent case of the yips, just cannot do any of the basics.
Because that one as well, like there's not any pressure on him, so he could probably catch it, or he could certainly make a very decent punch of it, which would send it, 20 yards away. It's just a weird thing.
He's run under it. He's run under it, and then he can't reach it, so he tries to punch it clear, and it just goes straight to their player, and nobody's picking them up, and so it goes in. And I would probably, for Man City, I'd stick Robles in just to stop it getting any worse for him, because it's the perils of being a goalkeeper, is that there are other players making mistakes all over the place. Bamford in the last minute against Leicester, that's a pretty bad mistake. Cost us potentially 3 points, but every time Meslier does it, it costs us a goal. And I still think he's a brilliant goalkeeper, but it's his confidence is just, you can see by the mistakes he's making that are not at the level of his talent. Let's say he's better than he's showing. It's not like he's suddenly been found out. It's just that his confidence is gone. And I don't think facing Erling Haaland next week is particularly what he needs. That's not going to help him get his confidence back. So just make it Joe Robles' problem for the next few weeks.
And once again, defensively, summed up by the fact that Cooper starts, goes off injured again. I don't know when the last time was that Cooper managed to string like 5 or 6 games together, but he's always injured. Then you bring on Verba, who also is kind of injured. I think for is it their third where he ends up falling over and then struggling to get back, and he just wasn't moving properly through the whole game either. Koch looked lost for most of it.
Robin Koch could have blocked that one on the third, but he's gone about a foot too far towards goal, and he's just, as he's trying to block it desperately, he ends up actually spinning the ball up into is it Solanke who finishes that one, or whoever it was who scored? They all look the same. They don't all look the same. I mean, they all just play for Bournemouth. I don't know who any of these people are. All just popped up to him, and so it's all millimetres. It's defensive mistakes. It's stupid stuff.
That was the one amusing aspect of this. When Bournemouth were bringing subs on, they all sounded like generic Bournemouth players.
Jack Stacey.
Yeah.
Who's he? Who's the other one?
It's 2 first names.
Yeah, the only one I recognise is Rylan off of This Morning.
Yeah.
And he came on for a bit and went off.
Kiefer Moore. Yeah, he should have scored as well, shouldn't he, Kiefer Moore?
Yeah.
When they brought him on, I said, I know he's a shit footballer because I've seen enough of him to know this, but I still fully think he'll score against us because he's big, and he should have done. He should have scored at Ellen Road as well, as I remember correctly. I think he had one played across the 6-yard box to him that he completely mishit. So
there's a question by Migraine Boy in the YouTube comments. Could we actually celebrate this if we end up staying up? No. It'll be the most furious success, and I'm doing air quotes now for the benefit of anybody on the audio version, of our lifetimes, because it's just horrible, isn't it? The whole thing. It's
just the same every week. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The problems don't seem to change. And nor does nor does Gracia, because he once again has gone through the last 20 minutes there with us needing something. Didn't particularly seem to change the shape, didn't bring extra attackers on. He just made like-for-like subs, didn't he? And bring in Forshaw for McKennie and Rodrigo for Bamford.
Yeah, because what you want to do at 3-1 down or whatever is do something to change the shape to give them something else to think about.
Exactly. They weren't very good at defending. We did have chances, and it looked like they were as capable of flapping about as we were in defence, but we just gave them nothing to think about.
Well, I think that's kind of where why he stuck with it, is because for a lot of that game, we looked as likely to score as Bournemouth did, which was not very. We were probably better than them for most of the first half. Gave them 2 goals, got one back, and then I think it's that weird thing of it seems to be working all right, but then we just give up soft goals. So how much you change it from what you've invested into working on what's a very different formation during the week? And if you did try to switch it back, are you taking Gnonto off to bring on Aronson? What's the change to get the previous formation back? Would have been quite difficult. So we did look better with Forshaw on, because he can actually pass, and he's actually got some composure. So yeah, I don't know. And then after that, I don't know who else we're bringing on. Rutter is a throw of the dice. Greenwood we've discussed, but there's not really any room for him. I don't think Forshaw and Greenwood is a midfield to mess with, but we don't really want to be like Rocker isn't doing particularly great things in there either.
But
I don't know who else was on the bench.
Well, the Forshaw point is I guess the embodiment of the whole problem, isn't it? That we're still looking to those players, such as Cooper's been drafted back in recent weeks, players who got us promoted, Bamford as well up front, that none of them have been adequately replaced or built upon, supplemented. You're still relying on them to dig us out of a hole. And the fact that Stuart Dallas was brought down as a cheerleader, wasn't he, all this way? And people were really pleased to see him tagging along with the side. But
new manager, maybe.
Well,
like Ayling's having a bad season, his worst season for us, and he's still our best right back because Rasmus Christensen is a hopeless League One twat it up the line merchant.
Yeah, the recruitment's not been good in that respect.
He's all.
Yeah,
I know it's not a huge amount for Premier League football, but Jesus, he looks limited.
Yeah,
the amount of times he just gets it and
kicks it into touch,
just smacks it long. It's all he ever seems to do. I don't understand what he's there for.
And the price paid for him is sort of irrelevant to. It's less relevant than the role he was bought to do because if he's not intended to replace, he's 25, isn't he? So if he's not meant to replace Ayling for the next 5 years, why is he here?
Well, he's here because they wanted to put Jesse Marsh in. Jesse Marsh wanted his players. They thought they could get a cheap international quality right back.
Well, yeah, so exactly. And so we've ended up with this player who's supposed to be inheriting Ayling's shirt and is worse than him. Yeah. So the price is almost...
It's the hideous misjudgment at recruitment level, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't there is the question of how much you pay for a player. You can only get a certain amount of quality for that amount. But in this instance, it's more the intention is more important than the price. We think we've solved it. There we go. There's your big, strong Viking and everything's going to be fine. As right back sorted out, let Drama go on loan and all this stuff. And it's not sorted out. He's terrible. Sorry, Rasmus, but come on.
Yeah.
You know it. Look in the mirror, you know.
I mean, it's like getting the ball, just like I was saying, the number of times, just leathered it into touch, and you're like, right, that's what we do now, is it?
And as a manager, you should really be saying to someone, if you're going to do that, I'm not going to put you in the team because it doesn't help very much to just have someone who gives the possession straight back to them or puts it out for a goal kick.
Brian is mentioning in the YouTube comments, just to return to the point we made about Stuart Dallas, Brian's all for Stuart Dallas as not playing, but player coach.
Yeah. I mean, let him have a pop at it. You never
just
know.
let the lads organise themselves. You just wonder, could it
Full
get
Sunday League rules?
Yeah, could it get any worse?
Well, it's at that point now where it feels like it can't. I mean, Johnny Cooper stat the most goals conceded in a month by a Premier League team.
Have we beaten our own record there?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, there's still more to come, is what I would say, if we're looking to build on that record. But you think, well, it can't get much worse, can it? Because it's not like we've had impossible games in this period either. I know Liverpool are a decent side, but like Bournemouth and Palace putting 9 past us.
Leicester scoring 1.
Like they're not. It's not.
Shame on you, Leicester.
That's one too many.
There's not an awful lot to build on there, is there? So, and it's obvious. We're at the point now where it's obvious Gracia is not staying next season. Well, I would think it's obvious.
I think so, Michael. Yes, I don't think you're saying anything too controversial.
But you never know. You never know with this club, do you? So,
sure.
So what do you? I don't know.
Might put together an amazing PowerPoint in summer.
Gracia's reaction to that defeat. This is Phil tweeting that I'm reading out here. Do you want me to do the accent now? Just maybe add a little bit of levity to it now. We tried to change the dynamic with a different formation. We were coming from performances where we didn't compete at the level I thought we could. That was my idea. Gracia on what he can do to change it. Try to insist on the things we have to improve. Stating the obvious. If we make the mistakes we're making in all the games, it's difficult to compete and get results. If we don't improve, it will be difficult to get the points we need.
Yeah. He's not a miracle worker.
No.
Nobody is. And so it's kind of the business of changing the manager or whatever. It's still going to be picking from the same squad of players. And I'm sure, Gracia isn't going out there and saying, Ilan, when there's a corner, just like punch it down to one of their players and see what happens. It's like, it's similar with him, with the changes and people chanting make a sub at him and stuff. He has a valid argument, I think, does Gracia, of saying, well, the players who are out there should just be playing better. And how much of that is down to him to make them play better is, that should definitely be part of it. But there's also, at some point, you've just got to say, well, if they can't do it, then it's personal responsibility to a certain extent.
It's a toxic soup, isn't it? From top to bottom, the whole thing, the whole.
that's a big that's a shortcut to it. There's a simple way of saying it, is that the player should just be playing better. I don't know if that's the same as it being toxic, but you can look at some of the things that they do and just think, well, just don't do that, and then it will be a lot easier for you.
Yeah. Have you seen the tweet that's doing the rounds? Conor McGilligan appears to have put it's a screen recording. That's the words I was looking for of him opening DMs, and because he circulated the screen grab of an apparent I can't even speak today, an apparent reply from Andrea Radrizzani, easy for you to say, suggesting that he's saying, "I am broken. I am responsible for this shit. Unacceptable. You don't deserve this. Ridiculous." And then he's actually then screen recorded to show of him opening the messages to sort of authenticate it. So it looks,
that's professional
on the surface of it, that that's what was being said. And at least he's taking responsibility.
Well, yeah. What's Victor Orta doing? Is he currently yelling at people in a Bournemouth car park because he was getting some stick? The whole thing has come crashing down quite spectacularly.
I would say on the DMs, I can't remember exactly where it was. I think it was during there. It was about transfers. Andrea has DM'd Conor before, and Conor has screenshot it and puts it on Twitter. So it's probably, one, it'll be legit. So I don't have any doubts that it's absolutely real. And I don't think Conor would be making it up. But then also, I think Andrea must know that if he sends that reply, it's going to be put on Twitter. So how much I read into what Andrea's actually saying there, or if that's like kind of the DM version of what the three of them did when the camera went on them against Leicester, where it's like, oh, I'll put this out in, I am broken. Please don't screenshot this and put it on Twitter and let people know that, I am broken and I'm responsible, and you don't deserve this. I'm very sorry. So I think there's, it feels like crocodile tears.
So he sent me a DM, did Radrizzani, and he said, "Not watching the game. I'm in Milan. What's going on?" That's what he said to me. That's what he sent to me.
Yeah,
I didn't share that one though. He said, "I'm arseholed. And I'm on holiday, so don't bother me."
As is always the case around things like this, there are people.
To be clear, that did not happen.
Did it not?
Because some people will be confused.
Oh, I believe you.
Very few people, but some will.
We've reached that usual point of everybody's searching for someone to blame. So there's people now, just a very small handful of people blaming us for apparently demanding Bielsa be sacked, which was not the case with you, Moscow, at all. And I wanted him to change something. Knowing what would happen if he didn't, and it did happen. I think you were kind of on the fence, weren't you, Michael? Not quite sure which way it was going to go.
I felt like we were going to probably go down under Bielsa,
which I think would probably been a better alternative to what we've enjoyed this year. I would have happily stuck it out.
But then if we go down under him, he leaves anyway. So this fantasy where we go down under him and he stays probably doesn't happen. But equally, there's been a long time between.
It's the choice. It's the choice that followed it, wasn't it? There's the problem.
Exactly, and the appointments and the recruitment since that point has been shit. I'd say we got lucky last year staying up, and I thought Bielsa would take us down. As it was, I think we were very fortunate that Jesse Marsh didn't take us down. The way the last day of the season panned out, it could have very, very easily gone the other way for us last year.
Yeah, it felt like a flip of a coin, roll of a dice.
And I think it's coming down to that again now, where we're going to need some crazy bit of luck, I think, probably on the final day to stay up.
And there's been some follow-up stuff with that as well, if you want to address this one, Moscow, about us talking about getting rid of Marsh as well. How do we address that criticism of not enjoying Marsh's time at Leeds?
Ignore it.
Yep. I'm just wondering about
I didn't sack him.
No.
I'm not I just say what I feel about things at the time.
Yep.
And then what more does
No, I just wonder how you felt about that as a suggestion.
People can think I'm wrong. I've been wrong about loads of things.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wrong about loads of stuff.
Yeah.
Don't know, really.
And then in the end, I don't have any influence. It's not like I went down there and told Jesse Marsh to tidy his desk up and leave. So what I said at any point, like when you're saying people are trying to cast around for people to blame for the situation we're in, it's like if people want to say, okay, it's my fault, sorry. We would have beaten Bournemouth today if I was nicer about Jesse Marsh. You have been coaching
the defence.
Yeah, it's all down to me. I've been DMing Ilan Melier and just saying everything you knew about goalkeeping was wrong.
Yeah.
Do it the other way.
I mean, it's fair to say that when the club sacked Jesse Marsh, this wasn't their plan either, because they obviously had a list of preferred managers who all said, no, thank you, I'm doing quite well in a different league with a better team at the moment. So, nah, maybe in summer, but not now.
And that's a failure of planning and management, isn't it? Like, if you want to get a good manager, look at what Villa have done and the timing that they made their change when that was clearly not working.
Yeah, if we'd have sacked him earlier, we might have been better off. If we'd have not sacked him at all, we might have been better off. It's very hard to know. It felt like the momentum was very much going against us under Marsh, though. People were sick of it. And now people are sick of this. And
actually, have we been reductive? I don't know, but just to address some more of Gracia's comments, again, this is Phil tweeting, so I'm quoting him, hopefully he's not making this up. In terms of have the players let him down, we're a young team. Sometimes young players need this process to make mistakes and learn from them, but I believe in my players. So that it's the young team, isn't it? You've got a lot of inexperience in that squad and a lot of non-Premier League experience as well.
Yeah, and if we're dishing blame around as well, the fact that we did spend a lot of money, or committed to spend a lot of money in January, and we got no Premier League experience, and in the case of Rutte, someone who we haven't deemed fit to bring on the pitch in 2 games we've needed to win. Just a complete failure in that respect. Not saying he won't ever be good,
but we needed something else now.
But for this season, what would we give for another defensive midfielder or another defender at the moment, or a left back?
I mean, Max Verber looks like a brilliant player. I love his commitment. I love it, even just the way he plays. He's a good player. But he was supposed to be a left back and he's not. So he didn't actually solve the problem that was
and they were happy to sort of sell it a bit on that basis of being a bit non-committal about where he actually played. Yeah. And truth is, he was a centre back.
Yeah, the whole thing was we get to January, we sign a left back and we sign a striker, and then things look much better. And we signed a centre back and we signed a youth winger because Rutte doesn't look like a traditional number 9. He's not a swap in for Bamford or Rodrigo in that position. He doesn't have the experience to do anything for us really, because he's younger than half the options we've got. So, and then having done those things, we then sack the manager anyway. So it's kind of we didn't give, same as last season, it's a repeat of last season of waiting until the transfer window had been messed up, the best chance of solving all the problems we had, and then taking a drastic decision of sacking a manager and then bringing somebody else in who then doesn't have the tools or the opportunity to make changes to the squad because that opportunity has gone. So it's pretty daft from that point of view. So Gracia is now, he can only play the players that were here. If he'd been brought in earlier, I imagine he would have welcomed some input into the transfer business in January and the opportunity to sign some different players.
How's this for a sad ending? Popey is tweeting saying that a sad shrug and "if I'm here" from Gracia when asked if he feels he has the trust of the management to turn this around. I mean, God, that is the sign of somebody who we've broken him. Everything's broken.
Well, this is that's Andrea Ratrizzani's phrase. I am broken, he says. I am responsible for this shit. Unacceptable. You don't deserve this to the fans. Ridiculous. So what will his next step be? It could well be
sack himself.
Well, it could well be sacking Javi Gracia, but again, it comes back to why should he? I mean, I think Javi Gracia is probably doing the best he can with the situation he's in. None of it's his fault.
No,
he's just turned up late. So the person who is responsible for this shit gets to just sack somebody else and do what? Try something different. Keep coming up with shit ideas and being responsible for those, but then never really coming to any kind of consequences at the end of it until and unless we get relegated, and then the takeover situation. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, but there's the one thing that can happen to Andrea Ratrizzani is having to sell the club at a loss. And in the end, if that's the net result for him, then finally, like, some responsibility being taken at that end of the deal. But what seems more likely to happen from it was Mike McGrath reporting in the Telegraph this week saying that if we go down, Ratrizzani, well, the takeover deal as it stands doesn't apply because the contract is only for the Premier League status. So he might just like call that off and try to get us promoted again. No, take some responsibility. If we go down, sell the club, and I don't care if you lose money on it or not. If that is what being responsible for this shit will look like. Not just sitting there going, oh yeah, I'm really sorry that I've screwed up the last 2 years after getting. How about have another go? No. Go away now and let somebody else. And the other person, people coming in, they may also screw it up, and then they will be responsible for their shit. But yeah, that's what responsibility would look like in this instance. Not just sacking more people, sack Bielsa, sack Marsh, sack Grathia, sack somebody else comes in for the last 4 games, sack them as well, and then sit there in summer and go, right, got some great ideas for next season. Nah, don't work.
Do we force Victor Orta to take over for the final games?
Well,
given this squad is of his creation,
maybe he's already having a hand in things. Who knows? If there's any small crumb of comfort tonight, it's that we are 8 minutes into the Liverpool Spurs game and it's already 2-0 to Liverpool after 3 and 5 minutes. And I'm just looking at the momentum graph, and from kickoff, it is just 100% red all the way across and 2-0. So that last day roll of the dice. Somehow survive it's possibly on the cards. That's all I can look at now and think, if we're still in touch on the final day, maybe we give ourselves a shot. Who knows?
I mean, you'd certainly take it, wouldn't you, going into the final? I know after the Wolves game, you were thinking, oh, we've got a real obvious path to safety here. Like we could potentially. I think was it the Palace game that followed Wolves? I can't bloody remember. It felt
Forest.
Like
was in there somewhere, wasn't it?
Forest then Palace, wasn't it? That week you thought, oh, we could more or less make ourselves safe here, which we failed to do. But at that point, you were thinking, yeah, well, let's try and get this done and dusted way before the end of the season. Whereas right now, if someone said to you, this is going in the final 10 minutes of the season and you're still in with a chance, you would be like, yeah,
fair enough.
let's see how that goes.
Better than I thought.
Because at the moment, I can't see where the next win's coming from. And I think, obviously, one of Leicester or Everton will pick up points tomorrow. And I don't know, Forest have got this weird. Forest are absolutely shit every time I've seen them, but they always score goals.
Yeah,
they seem to have a real knack of scoring their only chances.
And then yesterday, good old Brentford.
Yeah, they did help us out to Brentford, didn't they? But
reminder again, last season we beat Watford 3-0, and then 0-0 against Palace when we were lucky to get 0-4 against Man City when we were lucky to get 0.
Jesse liked that one though. Celebrated moment in that one, didn't he?
And then we lost 2-1 at Arsenal. The Ayling red card, 3-0 to Chelsea, the James red card, and then 1-1 with Brighton, and then we won on the last day. So again, that was draw, lose, draw, and then win and somehow stay up. So we're just doing like a worse repeat of last year.
The commentator today kept going on about, we need 3 more wins to be safe. I was thinking,
we might need none.
We might need like a win might be enough, and 3 certainly would be enough, but. I don't know.
3 would probably end up overtaking Chelsea.
We are now into the favourites for relegation. Well, as in the third favourites, but
we deserve to be.
Yeah, we do. But we haven't been all season to this point. We've kept. There's always been someone there. Whereas now we are very much that team.
Victor being in charge for the closing games of the season might not be such a bad idea, as it has been suggested here in the YouTube comments, because he would have to face the press conferences then. So there's that.
Could watch him throw in a bottle of water at Phil or something when he dislikes one of his questions. Yeah, I mean, it sounded like the away end.
Phil's from Scotland. He survived worse.
Had fully turned. You could hear songs about Orta. You could hear Stack the Board. You could hear You're Not Fit to Wear the Shirt. That's always a bad one. When that one comes out, that's proper.
When you're tearing into the players, they're the last ones who.
I was going to say, that's like the last thing that you come to, essentially, where you're saying to the people on the pitch who are the ones who are, if anyone is going to get you out, it is them, when you're saying to them, fuck off, I hate you, more or less. So, as
we said though earlier in the week, everyone wants him to succeed. Everyone wants Javi to succeed. Everybody wants, Radrizzani to succeed and Orta to succeed. It's just the fact that unfortunately they haven't really, have they, for a long time now, since Bielsa. And I think you wrote an article in the wake of sacking Bielsa. It's the one I think you sat on for a while, actually, Moscow, and then published some time down the road about saying he was basically just the most capable man in the room, or the building, if you like. And that was very much proving to be the case. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm a good guesser sometimes.
I mean, we had the evidence of what went before, I suppose, didn't we?
Yeah, but then he's taken Sheffield United up, hasn't he? So maybe
he wasn't the problem.
Yeah, maybe we just had him a bit too soon. Or, so the mature version who's slamming balls into the midriff of Spence, wasn't it? That was one of his highlights. He nearly didn't become a manager because he said there's too many dickheads in football. Paul Heckingbottom. That's a funny thing for him to say, isn't it? And then he, apparently he was going to become a plumber instead, and now he's a Premier League manager. Maybe. I mean, Sheffield United, now they're up. Maybe Eki fancies it for last few games.
Just loan him in.
Yeah, have him on loan.
Well, the one final bright spark was the cross from Willie Gnonto to Patrick Bamford today. That was nice. So should we just end the show on that and go about the rest of our bank holiday weekend?
Yeah, if we can just keep doing that and not conceding all the goals, then we'd win, wouldn't we? So it'll be fine. So do that against Man City and it'll be good.
Feels like slim pickings.
Man City match ball next week. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Good that. They only won 2-1 today, didn't
they? Yeah.
They've got to West Ham may tire them out in midweek as well. They've got to negotiate. And will they be doing some European style stuff in the week after?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got to cling that Manchester City's incredibly talented reserves. They probably only need to put Haaland on for like first 20 minutes.
Yeah,
let him get his hat trick.
You can have it won pretty easily, pretty swiftly against us, can't you? Like, if you can attack well a few times, it's probably enough.
Just wait. It's just a case of waiting, isn't it?
Really? That's all Bournemouth did today. Like they didn't really cut us open at all, did they?
No.
We just wait for us.
We just let them score some goals by not really looking arsed.
It's 3-0 to Liverpool now, by the way, after 15 minutes.
That is quite funny, in fairness.
So that I'm telling you, that final day, that's our hope. That really is our hope.
An 8-all draw. We just need the team able.
Maybe we squeak a point out of the other games before that, and on the final day we face Spurs. Kane's last game. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays their final home game and then he's injured for the Leeds game, because he won't want to come and be involved in a scrap if we're trying to stay up.
Unless he might fancy a few goals against.
he does like stat padding, doesn't he? So,
they'll flat track bully, get him against a Cooper and Verba probably playing in the calipers, as you'd said, by that point, to try and get him on the pitch, because we haven't got any other fit centre backs. Because neither of them are fit. Neither of them have been fit for about 2 months, have they? Ridiculous. But we just desperately need one of them to be there because someone needs to organise it, because no one else is capable of doing it.
We'll say this as well, just as a closing thought. It's only a daft game. I know it really hurts when Leeds are this bad, and the prospect of going down is awful. I don't think anybody would argue that we don't deserve it on the basis of this season, but it is only a game, and whatever happens, even if it does result in relegation, it's just another season, isn't it? We'll still be here.
Acceptance now from me. We're not getting out of this.
So anything
I feel absolutely certain we're not getting out of this.
If we do get out of it, think how good that's going to feel. That'll be the one thing to enjoy from this season properly. Will be completely defying your own expectations. It was similar last year.
I'll still want to burn it all down though.
The feeling of blue paint on skin.
Yeah,
just imagine that.
I think I'm safe.
Oh, for the Smurf.
Someone did a nice Photoshop mock-up of it, actually.
Yeah.
Sent it this morning, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Right.
We didn't beat Spurs either, did we? We should have done. We were 3-2 up in that game, weren't
we?
Yeah, but then Harry Kane was playing by 1950s rules on our goalkeeper.
Spurs fans are leaving after 15 minutes.
Is it in London or Liverpool?
It is in Liverpool.
Good. Well, that's a nice city. They can go and see some of the sights instead of wasting the time at Anfield. What a ridiculous way to spend a bank holiday afternoon.
I mean, we've got and we'll have at least 50 match balls next year if we do go down. So that's great, isn't it? And we might actually win some of them.
At least 50.
Well, 46 for the league, plus a couple of League Cup ties, whatever.
No, one League Cup tie, one FA Cup tie.
48 then.
48. That was what we'll have.
All right, cool. Listen, let's...
The year after, when we've got to play in the JPT, that's when you get 50 plus.
Michael, stop. Right.
Not the JPT.
Thank you for joining us on this one. We'll speak
Checker Papa John's trade.
We'll see you soon.
The Match Ball.